Charles Darwin gave us his theory of evolution in his book on the origin of species. Through this, he introduced the idea that all the species that exist on this planet have survived over generations by the use of a process called natural selection. This theory inspired a German philosopher, Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche wrote his philosophical novel, Thus Spoke Zarathustra, in four parts. It was written and published between 1883 and 1885. One of the main themes of his work is Übermensch or superhuman, also called as beyond man. Nietzsche, in his work, emphasizes that evolution does not stop at us, the modern human. There is another level higher than us. He called it superhuman or beyond man. Nietzsche conveys his ideas via Zarathustra. Nietzsche's Zarathustra shares his name with the founder of Zoroastrianism. Why did he choose Zarathustra? We will talk about it later. Through Zarathustra, Nietzsche presents the world with the superhuman or the beyond man. This superhuman is not a fantasy or a fiction, but a possibility which humans of present can realize. Nietzsche believes that every being must create something beyond self, and for humans, this beyond self is the beyond man or the superhuman. The word superhuman here is not used in the sense of superhero or a superpower. He's not talking about physical superiority or technological superiority or the ability to rule over other. His emphasis here is instead on the superior morals and virtues. The morals and virtues which brought us here in the present times, in Nietzsche's opinion, have become outdated. Thus, we need to move beyond those and step into superior morals and virtues or create new morals and virtues. One example could be that the idea of suffering is seen as very pious, sort of like penance or an act of divine powers testing us. Nietzsche instead says that this idea must be discarded as it has served its purpose. It is important to understand that he never asks us to abandon the idea of struggling for truth and hustling out of miserable situation. Yeah, he is instead advocating the idea of the strife, just not the idea that it is the work of some divine being. Here are we, the modern human, still clinging to the idea of the divine. And on the other hand is Nietzsche's beyond man, who is a self master, self directed, self overcoming, and self ultimated. The transformation between man to beyond man requires us to become great men first. Nietzsche admires that amongst the Greeks there were several great men. However, he does not credit this to the Greek society as a whole. Instead of saying that Greek society was great, he believes that it is the work of the internal strife of these men that made them great. The internal struggle or the internal war with the evil instincts is what makes men great. Heraclitus, a pre Socratic Greek philosopher, makes the difference between great men and others clear when he says, most people sleepwalk through life, not understanding what is going on about them. Yet experience of words and deeds can enlighten those who are receptive to their meaning. Heraclitus also says, poor witnesses for men are their eyes and ears if they have barbarian soul. Here he plays on the word and refers to barbarian as those who do not use their reason or logos. Heraclitus had great influence on Nietzsche. His ideas of universal flux and unity of opposites appear in Nietzsche's Thus Spoke Zarathustra when he describes the beyond man. Nietzsche uses the idea of downgoing and overgoing while describing the journey to become the beyond man. There are two paths for the humans who are also referred to as a bridge by Nietzsche. One path that leads to beyond man, which is overgoing, and another path which takes one to the last man, which is downgoing. These two paths are the part of the same path. A person must choose which way to go. Nietzsche's Zarathustra suggests and urges people to take the path to the beyond man. The last men, Zarathustra says, are headed for the end and will destroy the world before themselves, and thus are called as the last men. Heraclitus similarly had spoken about a radical kind of change. He says, for souls it is death to become water, for water death to become earth, but from earth water is born, and from water soul. Here also we see a unity of opposites, and through reading of Heraclitus, we understand that even at the last stage, the earth or the last men, a person can choose to take up the path that is overgoing. In the book Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Zarathustra is on a journey. Through this entire journey, he learns and explains the idea of beyond man. Zarathustra perhaps is a beyond man himself, or is on the path to become one. He was living at the top of the mountain and starts a downward journey to the nearby town where he hopes to guide people to become the beyond man. Zarathustra, however, reiterates several times that he is not looking for followers who will blindly follow him. He is instead looking for companions who are not afraid to disagree with him. This is an indication that for each one, the path to beyond man may differ because everyone has different internal battles. Not one size is going to fit all. Zarathustra, who is overgoing, even in his downward journey to the town, says that his wisdom and his pride are companions rather than being enemy. His pride and wisdom together soar high. And he also wishes that if his wisdom was to ever be lost, may his pride fly away. Zarathustra says that he prefers to be a fool than be a man with no wisdom but only pride. Nietzsche's Zarathustra is like the founder of Zoroastrianism in the sense that he teaches truthfulness as the highest virtue. And Nietzsche, in his work Ecce Homo, wrote that this is the reverse of the cowardice of the idealist who takes to his heels at the sight of reality. Zarathustra has more pluck in his body than all the other thinkers put together. To tell the truth and to aim straight. Nietzsche, in his works, specifically aims to bring down the Judeo-Christian morals and urges to overcome these through thoughtfulness. But in my opinion, his work goes after the prevailing moral dilemma or ambiguity of the modern times, irrespective of the religious sect it emerges from. I feel that his work is a call for all of the humanity to awake and question the existing moral system and to improve on it. And if it cannot be improved, then discard it altogether, so that humanity can move to the next level. I believe one of the best examples of this is how the notion of human rights have emerged and expanded over the years. There was a time when marriage was considered a sacrosanct union between a man and a woman. However, morality evolved and definition of marriage changed. It is no longer an unbreakable bond and no longer just a union between a man and a woman. I believe he wants us to see morality not from the lens of divine law or as a supernatural creation which cannot be opposed or changed, but as a man made construct which must change, and by change I mean improve, get better with time. This is what he calls overgoing, and this overgoing is not easy. There are several internal wars that need to be fought against the evil instincts. To define instincts, I would like to borrow words from Immanuel Kant. Now suppose that nature's real purpose for you, a being with reason and will, were that you should survive, thrive, and be happy. Would be marked out for you much more exactly and reliably by instinct than it ever could be by reason. He further adds, advocating in the favor of reason. And if nature had favored you by giving you reason as well as instinct, the role of reason should have been not to let you subject your faculty to that weak and delusive guidance and to interfere with nature's purpose. In not so many words, but through experiences of Zarathustra in his work, Nietzsche is also urging humans to listen to the reason and not follow your animalistic instincts and desires blindly, without questioning them first.